News Local.
Good evening, I'm Natassia Soper. As a heatwave settles over southern New South Wales, strong winds have tonight whipped up a fresh fire warning for the Riverina. RFS crews across the region remain on high alert after a bushfire sparked by shorting power lines destroyed a number of buildings and 20 hectares of farmland east of Wagga.
Buildings and machinery destroyed. Earth blackened, precious stock feed turned to ash.
It's managed to burn a wool shed and 2 hay sheds and a considerable amount of baled hay and probably about 20 or 30 hectares of country as well.
Battling 40-degree heat, volunteer firefighters worked through the afternoon and night to save 2 homes from being engulfed by flames on Mates Gully Road near Wagga. Those on scene believe bad luck is to blame. A spark on bone-dry grass quickly turning ugly.
It appears as though it was material that shorted out a power line and dropped onto the ground and lit it up.
Thankfully, RFS volunteers who lived nearby were on the scene within minutes.
Fortunately, the people arrived at the right time and managed to get a truck over here on property protection.
While the fire was officially contained this morning, the work goes on. Crews mopping up and making sure the property and affected trees are safe.
The crews are doing strength and containment lines. There's also hay sheds alight, so we've got heavy plenty in the hay sheds, pushing the hay out and spreading it out.
The concern for firefighters is now that this wind may help ignite some of these smouldering piles. Thankfully, so far the wind is pushing it back towards already burnt land.
Come out from the northeast early this morning, swing around to the northwest, but yeah, it will be. It'll be up there.
With the wind making people nervous and temperatures still hovering around the 40-degree mark, those who worked so hard to put the fire out aren't taking any chances.
Very much so. I mean, we'll be here on scene for the rest of the day just to make sure it doesn't flare up again.
And reporter Will Murray is live in Wagga tonight. Will, have conditions worsened there?
You're going to have to cue me, Pato. Can't hear. Ready? Thankfully, Tash, the wind has remained relatively benign this afternoon, and we've just checked in with the RFS behind us who say the Mates Gully Road fire is still under control. But that means we're by no means out of the woods yet. The temperatures are still around 40 degrees here in Wagga, and the wind certainly has picked up in the last hour or so. Now, tomorrow, the clouds have started to roll in and we're predicting the chance of rain and the increased chance of lightning. And with so much grass around this summer, we're predicting the increased chance of grass fires is making the RFS very nervous. So, Tash, they're asking landholders especially to remain vigilant.
Thank you, Will, powering through even with some technical difficulties there. Meanwhile, hot temperatures and large swells have surf lifesavers gearing up for a busy Australia Day on the south coast. Volunteers are still catching their breath after an horrific weekend which included 3 drownings and 80 rescues.
Whoa, here you go. Whoa, whoa. Come on.
Warned from afar as waves crash onto rocks at Port Kembla's Hill 60 yesterday afternoon, fishermen, 9 in total, dashed to higher ground before being washed away.
Oh, he's on his ass.
Even after surviving the near-death experience, some go back to save their tackle.
Don't worry, get up.
Unbelievably, it's the same spot 3 men drowned while fishing at just 24 hours earlier.
It just highlights the dangers around rock platforms and ledges.
Surf lifesavers are still reeling from one of their busiest weekends on record. 80 rescues, 11 major incidents, including a mass rescue of 12 people at Bulli yesterday.
A number of people got caught in a flash rip current.
3 teenagers were also pulled from the water by off-duty surf lifesavers at Wollongong City Beach on Saturday night.
Where some people decided to go for a swim in darkness at 9:30 at night. OK, that's just dumb.
The majority of those who've found themselves in trouble have been from Western Sydney. Despite constant reminding, the safety messages are still not getting through.
I don't think you can get a better education or a better message than, if you fall into the water rock fishing and you survive.
Concerningly, the worst could be yet to come. A sweltering Australia Day forecast has lifeguards on edge with additional resources positioned at beaches all across the Illawarra.
We have the lifeguard supervisors plus their ATVs and jet skis tomorrow.
James Wilson, 9 News.
On the Illawarra coast, warm weather comes hand in hand with crowds of tourists. National parks today closing a number of popular swimming spots due to visitor numbers. But residents in one small seaside town are fed up with litter bugs damaging their beaches, some taking matters into their own hands.
Thinking they'd get away with it, this passionate Stanwell Park resident has a message for the visitors. Picking up a bag of rubbish they decided to dump and tossing it back in their car.
To leave a bag of rubbish in what is virtually our lounge room and just drive off is very upsetting.
The visitors throwing it right back, showing a total disregard for the environment and those around them. Wollongong councillor and Stanwell Park resident Lee Colaccino raising the frequent behaviour with council.
We can't understand why people are just leaving bags of rubbish here and not walking 20 or 30 metres to use a garbage bin.
Wollongong has one of the highest rates of litter reporting in the state, and with the increased number of visitors at our beaches, council will be monitoring behaviour and issuing $250 fines to those caught in the act.
The problem is for us to get a ranger there at that moment when the person's littering and pinning it on them. So it has to come back to personal responsibility.
Across its 17 beaches, Wollongong City Council is increasing ranger numbers and emptying bins more frequently, morning and afternoon. But still, people are choosing to do the wrong thing.
Take it with you. Take it to a bin. If the bin's full, take it home. It won't cause you or cost you anything.
Caitlin Steadman, 9 News.
An RFS volunteer from Whitton is accused of lighting up to 30 fires in the area. Police arresting the 30-year-old following investigations into the unusual amount of fires sparked between November and January. A number of items were seized from his property. He'll face court on Wednesday. A young couple has remarkably walked away uninjured after flipping their car in Bulli this morning. The pair were heading south on the Memorial Drive on-ramp around 11 a.m. when they hit a barricade and overturned their four-wheel drive. The road was closed for 30 minutes before the vehicle was towed away. A child sex offender has wept in a Canberra courtroom today, saying he won't last 2 days behind bars while being sentenced. The 35-year-old has been jailed for having, obtaining and sharing hundreds of files of child abuse material.
Fronting up to court in his last moments of freedom. How do you feel about possibly going to jail today? Ernest Yardley pleaded guilty to 5 charges last year, admitting to having and obtaining nearly 1,500 files of child pornography, sharing the material to 13 different people using WhatsApp, Telegram and the Dropbox software. The unemployed Gilmore man was investigated by the Australian Federal Police in 2019 after receiving a tip-off from US authorities. He attempted to justify his behaviour and communications with his online friends, saying they were not bad people, they were just horny. Following his arrest, Yardley claimed he had been picked on and set up by people who had hacked his phone. Today, the ACT Supreme Court heard the 35-year-old failed to demonstrate any remorse and that he knew his offending was wrong. Speaking directly to Yardley, the judge said the offences you have committed are very serious offences, and for that, you must go to jail, sentencing him to 2 years and 5 months behind bars with a release from custody in 15 months. During sentencing, Yardley told the judge, "I can't go to jail as I won't last 2 days." He then collapsed on the floor, wailing for several minutes before being taken away. He will be freed from jail in April next year. Kimberly Keynes, 9 News.
New South Wales has recorded 0 local cases for the 8th day in a row. However, 3 overseas acquired cases were detected. Low testing numbers remain a concern for authorities, with less than 9,000 people coming forward to get tested in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, thousands of travellers have boarded flights to WA as the state's hard border fell to Queensland and New South Wales. As of midnight last night, arrivals will no longer need an exemption to enter, but will still have to self-quarantine for 14 days. WA Premier Mark McGowan has warned that the decision will be reassessed if cases spike. A Taronji lifesaver is being hailed a hero for rescuing a 58-year-old man who was being mauled by a shark at Lake Macquarie on Saturday night. Matthew Lumbey was on holidays and swimming in the lake when he heard screaming.
I dragged him into shore with her assisting, got him onto shore. As I'm yelling out, I asked for someone nearby for a first aid kit and a belt because I knew that would be the closest thing to a makeshift tourniquet.
58-year-old marine scientist Rick Burberry underwent emergency surgery on his left arm where he was bitten. Tonight he's recovering at John Hunter Hospital. You're watching 9 News. Locals still ahead. A 30-year-old Forbes man faces court over the alleged murder of a Nowra grandfather. Dashcam vision emerges of a late-night motorbike crash at Picton. It's been 100 days since ACT Labor won the election and the Liberals are checking in to see if they've kept their promises. Plus, Leeton local Sue Ryan prepares for her biggest hay run in honour of her late husband.
This is awesome.
This is 9.
At Coles, you can lower the cost of your Aussie barbecues with delicious 100% Aussie Coles beef quick cook porterhouse steaks or Coles brand beef and thyme burgers. Any 2 packs for just $12. Coles, value the Australian way.
With a nice outdoor setting, you can enjoy summer your way.
5-piece outdoor setting, only $149. Foil trays, just $9.95.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Don't run out of data this summer with Vodafone's $30 prepaid plus plan. Get a huge 40 gigabytes total data on your first 3 recharges, then infinite data to browse at speeds of up to 1.5 megabits per second until your recharge expires. You rule with Vodafone.
Tyre Power is Australian owned and operated since 1977, providing expert service and advice across Australia, everywhere from Jindabyne.
In the Illawarra area and Wollongong, we got you covered with 6 stores.
Stores across the south coast in Ulladulla, Nowra, Jervis Bay
and Bateman's Bay, with stores all across the ACT,
as well as Queanbeyan and Cooma.
As far south as Eden, Bega and back to Goulburn.
With over 20 stores from the south coast to the Snowy Mountains, Tyre Power has got you covered.
An important message from the Australian government. Exposing crimes should never be a crime. It's un-Australian. If you take up citizenship, commit to making Australia better. Don't just sign the paperwork. Actively support Bernard Collaery, Witness K, David McBride, Richard Boyle and Julian Assange, who all exposed crimes and now face criminal charges and jail. Actively criticise our Scott Morrison, Frydenberg, Porter Liberal government. It's the Australian thing to do. An important message from the Australian government. Authorised by Ian Melrose, Melbourne.
Create your forever home at the Winning Appliances Summer Renovation Sale. We're celebrating all your renovations with an incredible range of offers from world-leading brands, including savings on selected Miele, AEG, Asco and Smeg. Plus amazing deals from Zip, Falcon and Neff. This is the final week of the sale, so hurry. Sale ends this Sunday, January 31st. Visit a Winning Appliances showroom or online today.
All in one place. 9.com.au.
A 30-year-old man from Forbes accused of assaulting a man who was later found dead has faced court in Orange today. Claudia Radoljak has the details.
30-year-old Brendan Doolan will remain behind bars tonight, refused bail twice over the alleged murder of a man here on Johnson Street in Forbes. Police allege that at 4 a.m. on Saturday, Brendan was seen assaulting a man in his 40s lying on the ground. It's believed he then fled the scene. 2 men tried to assist, but despite paramedic efforts to revive him, the man died at the scene. Later that night, Brendan was arrested at a home on Farnell Street. Neighbours have been left shocked.
It's a bit of a worry.
It's a bit scary. Oh, yes, when it gets close to you like that.
He appeared at Orange Local Court via AVL this morning, his defence lawyer arguing Brendan would lose his job as a tyre fitter mechanic if he stayed in custody, not being able to pay child support subsequently and losing access to his children. He also said he has a special vulnerability as an Indigenous man. But Magistrate David Day refused him bail, finding there was nothing special or unusual about his cause. The devastated family of victim and grandfather Bradley Dixon have spoken out, saying he moved from Nowra to the area just days before the alleged attack. His family telling 9 News his children are trying to deal with their father's death. They've set up a fundraiser to support funeral costs and bring his body back home to Nowra. Brandon will reappear at Parkes Local Court next Monday.
A woman will spend 10 months behind bars for assaulting 2 Wagga police officers. Christy Worth was wanted on 3 arrest warrants when she was confronted by police on Uranus Street in October. It's alleged she became aggressive when they tried to arrest her, kicking one in the leg while the other was treated for a cut to her forehead. She'll be eligible for parole on April 20th. Dashcam vision has emerged of the aftermath of a high-speed motorbike crash on Picton Road. 2 teenagers can be seen waving a car down for help after coming off the bike outside of Picton last year. The driver claiming he hit a wombat.
Have you called anyone?
Nah, don't worry about calling anyone. Is it alright if you help me put your bike up? Is that alright?
You don't look very good, to be honest.
Nah, we're alright. We're cool as.
Vision shows the pair running into bushes when paramedics arrived to help. It's understood the passenger was eventually taken to hospital in a serious condition. Months of broken promises. That's how the opposition describes the performance of the ACT government since winning the election 100 days ago. The Labor says it's been dealt a tough card trying to boost the capital's economy while dealing with a global pandemic.
100 days since defeat, the opposition is talking tough.
It's a fail and they need to do a lot better.
Opposition whip Jeremy Hanson not afraid to hand out criticism, saying Labor hasn't delivered on upgrades to Canberra Hospital yet or its promised relief from raises in rates.
Andrew Barr was promising that we'd get rates relief and 60,000 people got an increase, and really none of that has got anything to do with the government's COVID response.
But when put to people, Canberrans are split down the middle.
I feel like the government's more focusing on building themselves in Canberra instead of focusing on larger community.
I've been very impressed just because of the fact that we've not had any COVID fears or problems in Canberra. So whatever they've been doing a great job.
The ACT government declined to comment on camera but released a statement to 9 News today saying they're focused on the coronavirus crisis and bringing forward a budget that promotes low unemployment. In the statement, the Chief Minister said, "Our priorities are delivery of election commitments and governing agreement items," adding, "This is the most difficult period to govern in the history of the Territory self-government. As a two-party alliance government, we will bring our collective experience to this challenging task." Attention, though, has shifted back to the Liberals, with former opposition leader Alistair Coe announcing he's stepping down in March.
Alistair Coe is a guy with great ability. He's got, I'm sure, a very successful future outside of politics awaiting him.
Jack Hahn, 9 News.
Riverina country singer Fanny Lumsden has cleaned up at the 49th Tamworth Country Music Awards over the weekend, taking home 5 golden guitars. Fanny's armful of accolades includes Best Album, Best Female Artist and Video of the Year. The album Fallow was made with her husband on their property in the Snowy Mountains. After her husband was tragically killed in a farm accident, Sue Ryan was determined to honour the memory of Buster by helping others. The Leeton local is strapping herself in to the driver's seat this Australia Day, running hay up to Queensland to drought-affected farmers.
A cherished member of the community and a loving husband. That's how Leeton farmer Buster Ryan is being remembered by friends and family.
He was such a kind-hearted, warm, giving person.
Just anything to do with helping people, he was there.
Buster was an integral part of the Lions Club for more than 30 years, running hay to drought-stricken farmers in what little spare time he had. But that all stopped when he was tragically killed in a farm accident in October last year.
Every Australia Day, my husband and I would participate in a hay run.
To honour her husband's memory, his wife Sue is preparing for a hay run up to Cecil Plains in Queensland.
But I've decided to continue his legacy through giving and helping others.
Sue will be the only person in the cabin throughout the journey north, but she'll have one special guest by her side, a bear as burly as Buster.
He's wearing Buster's Lions Club shirt and got Buster's glasses on and Buster's hat, so he's going to be sitting in the passenger seat there with me.
Hitting the road, Sue will travel more than 1,000 kilometres north, delivering the precious cargo to drought-affected farmers as part of the Need for Feed disaster relief team.
I think we worked out to be about 1,200 bales. So some of those are single trucks in those, and some of those are B-doubles, and some of those are road. We've got 2 road trains. And
while the hay won't last forever, an Australia Day delivery of kindness and hope is a much-needed gesture.
It could be a week, it could be a month for them, but it's that little bit of pressure, that little bit of ease for them, breathing space.
Bill Ormond, 9 News.
Stay with us. Coming up in sports, save the date. Alexander Volkanovski locks in his next title defence fight. Cara's Ellie Carpenter adds to her accolades. And the South Coast snowboarder taking to the world stage.
The biggest Aussie comedy of all time.
He's got a knife.
That's got a knife. That's a knife. Crocodile Dundee, Thursday 8:30 on 9.
At Telstra, our 7-day price match on a range of phones. Using Telstra Plus points and trading in selected phones can help make technology more affordable.
Hi, Mark Howard from Stack's Law Firm. If you've been injured, there are 3 things you need to know. Call us to find out if you're entitled to compensation. Act quickly as time limits apply. Your first consultation with us is absolutely free. Get Stack's for your compensation.
Your country, your land, your home, your mob, your family, your elders, your kids, your future. Give our kids the best start in life. Quit smoking today for tomorrow.
Let's tackle smoking.
We've got a huge outdoor living range here at Bunnings.
Round market umbrella, only $89.98. Gecko 13-watt bug zapper, just $28.50.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
You know how proud I am of you. You deserve your success.
No one deserves this kind of success.
The most powerful weapon is not tanks or artillery. It's finance.
You do not go after a man like Dominic Morgan with a knife or a gun. You go with an army. I'm not the enemy.
For years, people have tried everything to work out which is the best tasting cola. Turns out, all it takes is a sip.
Take the Pepsi Max Taste Challenge.
At Apia, we're all about possibilities. So if you're driving less, we offer comprehensive motor insurance with a drive less, pay less discount. Apia, get set, go. Call 13 50 50.
All in one place. 9.com.au.
Windang UFC world champion Alexander Volkanovski will return to the octagon in 8 weeks' time for his second title defence. The featherweight bout against American Brian Ortega has been locked in for the 27th of March. Volkanovski retained his belt against Hawaiian Max Holloway in July last year. The location of the event is yet to be announced. Cara product Ellie Carpenter has been awarded for her achievements in 3 football teams last year, including the Matildas, named Best Women's Player of 2020 by Asia's Choice. The 20-year-old fullback had 3 seasons at Melbourne City and is now playing in France. The Brumbies have welcomed back a Wallabies superstar to the squad. Scott Seo has returned to the capital after being called up to the Aussie team over the last 3 seasons.
Everyone seems to be getting fitter every time I rejoin the squad, but it's good. It's a new feeling.
The Brumbies are back to training after returning home from a pre-season camp in Jindabyne. A South Coast teenager has taken the snowboarding world by storm, making it to the finals of the Half Pipe World Cup in Switzerland. 15-year-old Dalmany local Valentino Giselli qualified first for the event with a score of 95. He eventually finished 8th, the best result ever recorded by an Aussie on debut at a Winter World Cup. Good stuff. Next on 9 News, local Gavin Morris is in with all your local weather for the working week ahead.
The Married at First Sight Grand Reunion event, Sunday, Jan 31.
Sonic. The Good Guys Big Deal Days are on now. Get $500 off this TCL 65-inch TV, this chic fridge only $777, 33% off this Samsung soundbar, and 21% off this Samsung Galaxy tablet. Big Deal Days, only at The Good Guys.
If you think you or a family member might need compensation for injuries suffered through medical negligence, phone us for a chat. We can sit down and talk through what's happened and what your options might be. It's no win, no fee.
An important message from the Australian government. Exposing crimes should never be a crime. It's un-Australian. If you take up citizenship, commit to making Australia better. Don't just sign the paperwork. Actively support Bernard Collaery, Witness K, David McBride, Richard Boyle and Julian Assange, who all exposed crimes and now face criminal charges and jail. Actively criticise our Scott Morrison, Frydenberg, Porter Liberal government. It's the Australian thing to do. An important message from the Australian government. Authorised by Ian Melrose, Melbourne.
Right now, get 50 gigabytes of data for just $35 a month for the first 12 months, plus 3 months of Amazon Prime and Amazon Music Unlimited on us. You rule with Vodafone.
Window fully pinataed, Keith. Some insurers don't fix it excess free, which could affect next year's party budget.
That's not a pinata, Dad.
But luckily, Amy has an option that does, and that's what I call a pinata. Does your home insurer offer optional excess-free glass cover? Amy does.
All in one place. 9.com.au.
Tomorrow will be the 5th consecutive day where temperatures are predicted to exceed 30 degrees in parts of the state. So to find out on whether there is any reprieve in sight, let's welcome Gavin Morris with all your weather details.
Good evening. We've had a very hot weekend, long weekend, you could say. Australia Day coming up tomorrow. For half of us, the fine hot weather is going to hold, but we do have a significant wet weather system. A change is now making its way across the southwest corner of New South Wales and Victoria as well. Temperatures soaring into the low 40s across the Riverina, feeling the heat across the capital today. This is hard for Canberrans, into the high 30s consistently across the elevated ground. So it's a fairly decent system. This is the remnants of a monsoon low making its way across southern central Australia, and there it is, just starting to be seen as we move into this afternoon evening period. Now that big rain band will push across Victoria and the Murray. Most of the day we're going to get under clear, dry, hot skies right across the northern part. So the Illawarra, over the highlands, we're going to see fine weather for most of Australia Day. But you can see the cloud is going to increase, the wet weather and the likelihood of some storms moving in right across the capital and the southeast. It's still going to be quite hot ahead of it, but we've got the change coming in behind it. We'll see temperatures drop. So much cooler after what's going to be a very hot night tonight. Really hot conditions. Now, right throughout the far north, the central west plains are going to be fine. We've got the cloud increasing and the wet weather moving in towards the evening period around Parkes, Forbes, down to Cowra. So a real defined line. Over the Tableland, Blue Mountains remaining very hot for all of your Australia Day.
Some great Aussie weather there. Thanks, Gav. And that's 9 News Local for this Monday. Peter Overton is up next with your 6 p.m. bulletin. I'm Natassia Soper. Enjoy your evening. Good night.